Hey, K-Man here with a Japanese computer that I'm going to get to play a few games on. It does play some of my favourites like Load Runner, but the games we're going to try out are more like the games that I typically associate more so with 8-bit consoles than 8-bit computers. I've borrowed one of the MSX2s that Sony put out. The MSX series was a standard that was put out back in the 80s. You can see it has controller ports and a floppy drive. But I'm going to run the games off this Mega ROM flash cartridge, which uses this tiny micro SD card. Quite the size difference. On the back we got the RGB port, which we'll use to get crisp graphics, not have a cool light show. We even have a composite video, audio, RF, printer port and tape port, as well as the secondary cartridge slot. Let's jump into the games, for which we've got a variety to show you. And the first one we're going to have a look at is Aleste, which is starting off with this pretty cool sequence giving you a bit of the backstory, which is pretty much, there's a lot of turmoil going on, so you kind of got to jump into your jet and blast off. I love how the start of the game really launches you right in there. You feel the speed of the game and it feels like you're just getting totally thrown right there into the deep end. I am so rusty at this style of games. Won't be after this video, but hey, it's amazing just seeing all the different times that I nearly completely wrecked it. I'm a bit of a fan of the starting level's city backdrop, and the constant motion only ever pauses when you encounter a boss. It did take me a few goes to get this boss, but as you can see, I got it in the end. Something else I like about Aleste, and you understand why as the video goes on, but it's got such smooth vertical scrolling. Overall, yeah, a pretty fun game. Next up is a pretty well-known game. The franchise has been going for quite a while now and actually started on the MSX, Metal Gear. Big Boss gives you the mission to go penetrate the enemy's base and destroy the ultimate weapon, Metal Gear. I find you go through this game learning it bit by bit as you move along. First tip I'll give you though, and even if you don't do it in real life, in this game you do want to answer the boss's calls. Otherwise you might be going through the game thinking you can just pretty much take everyone down with your fists and find out how well that goes. One of the cool aspects of this game is being all stealthy, which the boss does kind of tell you to do. So I'm going to try my best at this, which also is possibly not the best. So that's going to take a little bit of practice, but I did find out if you do move off screen, they don't follow you. Trucks contain various items that you can go and pick up, and occasionally the trucks contain some unwanted surprises. And I do love the runaway music. You'll encounter doggos and lots of tanks lying around, and you even get to pick up a gun, except the gun has 0 bullets. RIP. It's sort of open world and lots of stuff to explore, and you gradually learn more and more about the game as you go on. So who knows, maybe in a future video we might even get a full playthrough of Metal Gear. There's a fair few Konami games on the MSX2, and I'm going to give another one of them a go, Gradius, which starts off pretty chill and simple, just flying in open space, shooting stuff. And then you reach a part where it gets a lot more hectic because there's enemies on the ceiling, enemies on the ground, enemies just leaping out at you, power-ups popping up here and there, luring you into dangerous situations. It's a tricky game, and if you don't get to the checkpoint you find yourself right back at the beginning again, but it's fun. It's tricky, but it's fun. I guess it's time to level up to Gradius 2. Which starts awfully similar to Gradius 1. I guess, it just wants to make sure you know that you are playing the successor. Then when you exit this purely space area, yeah, that's when it pumps up the graphics and yeah, it just looks pretty sweet. Yeah, I don't mind this game. It's always cool when you get a bit of a challenge and yeah, get used to dying a fair bit. I tend to find to get through games like this, it's one part memory, another part reaction, and also just always keeping your wits about you. We might as well move on to Parodius, the parody of Gradius, and I'm not sure if the Google Translate really helped me understand what that menu meant, but hey, let's dive on in with some more story, which, yeah, Watten's job is Dream and Hope Programmer. As I travel through space, yeah, okay. Let's play with the top one. So, yeah, it's very, once again, sort of the trademark Gradius beginning, but you're fighting those things. And you're picking up jars. Yeah, it's a fun game. I've played the even weirder looking Sega Saturn version of this game, and yeah, I'm going to try one of the other characters, the bird. I kind of feel like the bird is my one, and you pick up fish, and I don't know if it's just in my head, but I just feel so much more nimble oh, yeah, okay, I wasn't watching where I was going. Parodius includes a variety of characters from both Gradius and various other game titles. And, you know, this might be just the umpteenth time I've tried to get past this point. Practice makes perfect. Maybe. Our next game is King Knight, where you're one of 4 heroes going through the countryside on this vertically scrolling landscape, with the eventual goal of getting to the castle, defeating the dragon, and rescuing the princess. Even though the scrolling does look quite a bit janky, it's still very playable, which leads us to another Knight game, Knightmare. It's another vertical scrolling game that moves up row by row, but somehow they've managed to make it look a whole lot smoother. The question marks contain magical jewels that can either aid or hinder the player. You also have weapon power-ups, and I like this one that shoots out 3 at once. There's also a boomerang weapon upgrade, which is a bit slower, but means you can sort of hit them twice on the way back. There's also a few other power-ups you can get, and bosses to fight, all on your way up to go and rescue the princess. Well, what goes well with knights? I would say castles, so let's go and play Vampire Killer. Which, if you hadn't guessed or already noticed, it is Castlevania, but released before the name was used in the English translation, and it was also released a month after it was on the Famicom disk system. I'm not exactly what you'd call the most experienced Castlevania player, even so much so that in a previous video I outsourced the gameplay to 2 of my mates who went and versed each other head to head in Symphony of the Night to see who could finish it first. I have read that this version of the game has a kind of similar layout to the Nintendo version. Something that is also a little bit different is that you don't have the smooth horizontal scrolling. You reach the end of a screen and flip over to a new screen. That would somewhat be because the MSX2's hardware video processing doesn't have the ability to be able to scroll horizontally as efficiently as it can do it vertically. That feature was added to hardware later on in the MSX2 Plus. Even though I wasn't that great at playing the games, I did still have a whole load of fun playing with this, the MSX2, the version put out by Sony. A few other manufacturers put out computers based on this standard, and if you get a chance, do check it out. Big thanks out to Marc for lending me his, and as always, thanks for watching.